Hi, MB. And Cindy. Okay. Hey, everybody. It's me, Father Scott, your pastor. It's Friday afternoon, September 3rd, the feast of St. Gregory the Great. And I thought even though I've only done 2 of them so far, I thought I'd take a quick break from the talking about the saints that we encountered on our seminarian pilgrimage to talk about something else. But first of all, I just want to, if you were actually watching on Wednesday, I apologize that the feed stopped before I got to like the heart of what I wanted to say. But apparently my phone overheated. Probably doesn't help that I sit it on my computer right where the computer blows out its heat exhaust or whatever. So yeah, you just have to be smarter than the phone and the computer, and I'm not. But I guess I should probably just finish that up, that thought up the other day. So if you were watching, we were talking about St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. She converted to Catholicism after her husband died from tuberculosis. She had 5 kids. She ended up starting a religious order and basically started the first Catholic schools in the United States. She also started the Daughters of Charity of St. Joseph. Okay. But 2 things that I wanted to point out was that the reason that she came into the church, into the Catholic Church, was the Eucharist. She had lost her husband, and she longed for intimacy. She longed for a deep connection. And when she realized that she could have that in the Eucharist with Jesus, she said, I'm in. I want to convert. And what's kind of interesting is that she was, being an Episcopalian, her biography says that she was a frequent communicant. So she did receive communion there, but when she understood just exactly what we believe, what exactly happens at Catholic Mass, and she could see that there's a distinction between the Eucharist and communion for any other denomination, she wanted that because she wanted intimacy with our Lord. And that lasted until her last days. In the house that they built, or maybe they bought it, I can't remember, but it was where they had their school. They also put a little chapel in there, and they put her bedroom. And just the way that it worked out, from the head of her bed, you could look through a doorway and you could see the Eucharist. And so as her sickness got worse, she would just lay there on her pillow and stare at the tabernacle and be with Jesus, that intimate friend that she wanted. So kind of, just a beautiful thing. Like Saint Elizabeth Ann Seton, please give us the same desire for intimacy with Jesus that you had. That would be awesome. Okay, so the other day, yesterday morning, actually, I went to take some pants to the dry cleaners. And I always go to the same one. They do a good job. And it's run by a Korean couple. And I went in with my collar on, and as the woman was, doing the paperwork and everything, she said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." She said, "Is it hard to not be married? Do you get lonely? Do you feel lonely?" And so I explained to her, like, sometimes, sure, but I feel called by God to do this, and it's very fulfilling, and I have 6,000 kids here at St. Joseph. So, yeah, it can be lonely as a priest, but there's also a lot of deep relationships that you can have with other people. Well, she went on to tell me that she had actually gone to a Bible college, to Assembly of God Bible College, and she was a preacher, but she said in the Assembly of God church that she goes to, it's small enough that the pastor is able to kind of take care of all of that, and they don't really ask her to do any preaching there, but is it like a Korean Assembly of God? She also said that the largest church in the world is in Korea, and it's like Seoul. She's like 600,000 people. I have to research that. That's crazy. It's not a Catholic church. Gosh, imagine even with 3 other priests trying to take care of 100 times as many people as we have. That'd be a problem. But anyway, she then started telling me about the prayer meeting that they had, and I think they have like morning prayer most days of the week, and then on Friday evening they do a little prayer service or Bible study. But she was talking about how she felt like God had put it on her heart at the last one of those, like an insight about the situation in Afghanistan. And I think it's beautiful that, someone from Korea who's living in the United States cares about what's going on in Afghanistan. I think they were all praying about it, as we all should be. It's not resolved. Things still need to be done. And she said that Jesus put it on her heart to say, there have been efforts to evangelize Afghanistan with Christianity for a long time, and it just runs into roadblocks. It's very difficult. She may know better than I. I haven't really studied that, but she said bringing in the outside missionaries just has not been effective. But she said maybe what God is doing, and she felt it was put on her heart to think, like, what God is doing is that he's taking these refugees and bringing them to Christian countries so that they can come to know Jesus and then be inspired to go back to Afghanistan and evangelize amongst their own people in a way that, an outsider wouldn't be able to. It's like, wow, maybe that's how God's working here. And that struck me when I was thinking last night about a talk given by Abby Johnson at the Wyandotte and Olathe Pregnancy Center fundraiser banquet last night. She gave an incredible witness. And if you don't know her story, you should read it or watch the movie. So it's called Unplanned. She worked for Planned Parenthood for like 8 or 9 years. And she said that she in some way was responsible for over 20,000 abortions because of the clinics that she ran, which is astoundingly disturbing. And she said a few times, like, people ask me, did this never occur to you? Like, why did you stay so long? Did you never quite get it? What was going on? And she said, her answer was, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why I stayed so long. I don't know. I don't know why it took so long for me to understand what was really going on. And for her, the turning point was when she was helping with an abortion, and she was running the ultrasound machine, and she watched the abortion happen. And she could see that this baby, or this fetus, this pregnancy, as they would call it, which they were told can't feel any pain, was fighting for its life. And that moment completely changed the direction of her life. And we might look at it and go like, well, why did God allow so much bad to be done through her leadership, I guess? Why didn't he have her have that moment, on the third day that she worked at a Planned Parenthood? I echo what she said. I mean, we don't know. We're not going to know until we get to heaven. But her story is incredibly powerful. And it's changed people's minds. She's helped hundreds, maybe even thousands of people to stop working at abortion clinics. And she inspired every person in that room last night, I think. And maybe God knew that if she had that experience on the third abortion or the fourth abortion, or like a month into working there, that if she came and told her story, be like, well, yeah, that's real powerful, but not as powerful as someone who was so entrenched and got to see all of the lies and all the various ways that the abortion industry does what it does to take advantage of women, so that she could tell the story with some authenticity and some authority, and not just as some outsider. Again, I don't know. But in both of those things, it seems to me like God's just reminding me, at least, like, you don't know what I'm going to do with the bad that I seem to allow to happen. You don't know what I'm going to do with those people in Afghanistan who had to fight for their life to get out of their own country, out of utter fear, probably legitimate fear. And you don't know why Abby Johnson had to stayed in the industry as long as she did, and as she said herself, like, kind of had guilt on her hands. We all do. I'm definitely not judging her. I'm just saying what she was saying. You don't know. Maybe you need to be patient so that I can show you the good that I'm going to bring out of this. Maybe that's a good message for us to hear right now. Maybe you're going through some junk and you don't know why it's persisting, and you don't know why God allows you to continue to suffer. I just finished a conversation with a guy he's in a bad way. And he seems to have spent most of his life suffering. But he still has faith. And he still trusts God is going to do something. I wonder if he's asking us to trust him today that the bad that he's allowing to happen might be for a greater good. And that we may have to be patient with that to see what he's going to bring. When you see Abby Johnson right now, I mean, again, her talk last night, incredible. Her story, incredible. What God's doing through that, incredible. And in his divine wisdom, perhaps he knew that he had to allow even a lot of evil to get to a greater good. Let's pray today that we can have that patience if we're going through evil, and that we can have that trust if we're seeing evil around us and bad and disaster and destruction, and say, God is powerful enough to bring even greater good out of something that seems so bad. Just want to give you that to ponder. I hope you all have a great weekend. I'm glad you took your time to listen. And enjoy your 3-day Labor Day weekend.